What is up, YouTube? Today we have a video going over the new warfare rules, and Hecate is getting an actual nerf in this update. So, real quick, Hecate, basically the major change that you're going to be seeing is when she was showcased, enemy heroes cannot revive and cannot be granted immortality. But now they have adjusted it so that all heroes cannot revive and cannot be granted immortality. So instead of just the enemy, it's the entire board, right? Everybody is not going to be able to have revive and immortality. I think that kind of addresses some of the concern where people would pick like Hecate Ruel, Hecate Celine, Hecate Maid. I think that kind of goes out of the window, and I think Hecate will be a little bit more fair. I think having enemy only means it's really oppressive when the opposing player has Hecate themselves. So I think overall that is a very good change. Another major change from this update is that the acceleration set that was teased, those three sets, acceleration set is going to be removed in the update. So they're only dropping two sets at a time. Basically, in a TLDR, they're basically saying that we understand that there's a lot of sets, a lot of inventory management, no leaves, blah, blah, blah. So they're going to make more events for us to get more leaves in the future and also just make it easier for us to farm the new set and not have to worry about acceleration set overall. Now, regarding the World Arena Warfare rules, which is probably why you clicked on this video anyways, basically, they've done a ton of analysis from the season, Lady to Scales, Barunka, all these units were really broken that we know. The major changes is that offense is now going to be, it used to be defense penetration of warriors by 20%. Now it's going to basically increase the potential of injury units. Okay, so I'll show the tier list in just a moment. Then for weakening, which is burn and bleed damage, which was completely garbage, they are now making it so that all burn, bleed, and bomb effects were not included before, burn, bleed, and bomb are going to be detonated at the end of the turn. So that is massive, right? There's a lot of characters that can benefit off of that, which I'll show in the tier list in just a moment as well. And under defense rule, that used to be penetration resistance by 30%. I think this specific warfare rule actually hindered a lot of the newer players, and maybe you're like 4 months, 6 months, 1 year old, you don't have a huge roster. It was really hard to play in this warfare rule, which I think is really oppressive, and they obviously addressed this. So now 40% damage reduction will be provided to ranger heroes. Okay, you probably are already thinking like some heroes that are coming at the top of your head. But last but not least, resistance warfare rule will stay. So Kev Strife is going to be very sad about that, but increases ER by 100% will be staying on. Now, obviously, they do a bunch of yapping about how they're going to want to also make some nerfs in the future. But rather than calling them nerfs, they're talking about making sure that they are making, hero balancing and adjusting some heroes' kits or artifacts. And they're going to do this carefully and slowly because they basically TLDR, they recognize that they fucked up. The power creep is too insane. They want the game to last longer. So they're making it so that the heroes that come out and obviously the existing heroes now that can do fulfill too many roles are going to be maybe adjusted in the future. So that's all just hearsay. We don't really know what's going to happen. So we don't need to worry about it too much right now. But I think it's very good that they are addressing the issue at hand and not just blindly nerfing stuff, right? So that's very good. Now, breaking into the tier list that I think you guys will have, a little bit of use for. Now, I have one category which is best units, which remains unchanged. I think all of these RTA centric units that are really, really strong in the meta right now, or meta defining, will just kind of be left up here because they're not impacted by these new rules whatsoever under offense, which basically means if you don't understand what the rule is, basically any units that inflict injury will do way more damage, right? So we're talking Shu, we're talking Arabi, we're talking Emma Aria, Kayron S1, Alencia has built-in injuries, Zahak has an S3, Ilanav has injury on S3. So if they have injury on their kits, these characters in offense rule are going to do a ton of damage. So if you have something like Yulha APOC, right? Yulha APOC, you rip an Arabi S3 with like 60k HP, that's going to do a shit ton of damage under this warfare rule, right? So we're going to start seeing a little bit more diversity. I think. I think this is very good, and I think we're going to see a way more like ML Aria, more ML Shu. I think they're going to make a return into the meta and have a little bit more power. And now that's kind of high level, right? Injury. We'll have to see exactly how it feels when the changes actually come through. But the main one is defense, right? 40% mitigation for Rangers now. So I think what actually helps a lot is for Firefly, right? Fire Flan, she now gets 40% mit. She has 100% evasion. She becomes like even more insane. She was already really fucking good. Now she's like really, really fucking good, which I think is amazing because for newer players who recently did pull for the Afternoon Soak Flan banner, which I think might have been like a month or two ago, I think they're eating real good right now because now she's going to be even stronger, a really reliable DPS for the newer players who were, obviously missing some DPS like that in Flan, right? All the other subsequent Rangers obviously will benefit. Not all of them are mentioned, but these are the ones that I find are most useful in RTA. So now, even if you have like Guiding Light, it's you don't have to like always just rely on Guiding Light. For example, if you have Hellion Lua, you can go POV. You get 40% mitigation, maybe useful, right? I do still think that Guiding Light's probably the best because 40% mid, it's still like on paper, it's seems like a lot, but Rangers typically have really low base defense, and unless you're something like Seaside Bologna, which you're not really going to be picking that often, chances are you're not going to be that tanky, right? Could we start seeing some like bruiser tanky like Landies coming back into the meta? Maybe, especially with the removal of the pen resistance rule potentially, but we'll have to see. I think this is a very interesting rule, but I think the key winner is obviously going to be Afternoon Soak Flan. Now, for the bomb detonation, this one is massive. Okay, this is huge. Okay, especially with the release of Sealed Eye Surin. Obviously, you guys know that I did a video on her. I've been playtesting her. I've been having fun with her. All of these units here, right? Having the bombs and everything detonate at the end of the turn is actually insane. Because you take a unit like P-Flan, right? She presses S3, lands bomb on everybody, boom, it detonates right away, and you get the guaranteed stun. That changes the state of the game completely, right? That changes it changes the way you would draft Flan like completely, right? You don't have to rely on getting your S1 to like proc the bomb or waiting for them to take another turn for the bomb to actually do their job. So I think this actually has a huge buff to bomb characters. So units like uh, Executioner Shuri, right? Cleavers are eating real good. Any AoE cleave, right? Briar cleave is going to be insane with this unit. It's just, unreal, unfucking real, right? Now, what else? Veronica can soul burn S3 or just land S3. The bomb detonates right away. You don't even have to hit that same target, right? So, for example, if you S3 into BBK and she counters you, then now you don't have to worry about that, right? Basically, you're just good to go. So these are some very interesting changes. I think we'll have to really play test and see how this actually looks on paper because obviously bleed and burn damage, it is based off of the attack, right? So historically it has been very inconsistent because they don't always land and you could be subjugated to 15% or ER. But overall, I think this is one step in the right direction by adding bombs into the mix because that will change up some of the units that we'll be seeing in the meta, especially around like aggressive or even like cleave like players. Will we see the return of Bihu? Will we see more Fire Araminta come out on the 4-5? Will we see more Aemeru coming back? Because when she gets the 5 focus stacks, especially with free Rin, increased resource gain, bada bing, bada boom. There's so much potential, right, that we could test, right? So I'm really, really looking forward to the weakening warfare rule that they're changing. And obviously the resistance, I'm not adding too many units because like this is unchanged, like there's nothing new. But I think the big winner is definitely the weakening and also defense, and then Shu and Arabi for sure. Those are definitely the winners of the new Warfare rules. I'm very excited to play in the new season to see how they feel. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Hecate nerf yourself. I don't even call it a nerf. I would just say it's just a balance adjustment. It just makes it a little bit more fair for both sides, right? I would hate to be the Hecate player that's just abusing the guy, and I would hate to be abused by the Hecate player. So we'll leave it at that. So if you guys do enjoy, if you do find this useful, if you need to, have this checked out, I will include this as a image. So there'll be that. There's no notes, so there's no JSON file. Thank you for watching. See you guys on the next one. Bye.